Alright, I'm going to do my best to explain fill plants. This is pretty complicated and a lot of people struggle with it, but we're going to break it down. So, we've got two plots here. These black circles represent the outline of our plot. Inside our plots, these green circles are what are called plantable spots. Now, a plantable spot is not an actual location. It's just something in the plot that could have a tree in it. In this case, I have 7 in each because we're aiming for 7 trees per plot. Over here, this is an area that has 7 trees in the plot. Each plantable spot has a tree growing in it. This meets the stalking standards for 7 trees per plot. No more trees have to be added to this. If you were to add another tree, then you would have 8 trees per plot, so you would have an excess tree, which is something to be avoided. You might also have a quality fault like a too close, because this tree is too close to this tree. It's less than 2 meters away. Make sense? Let's say that we were missing a tree. Let's say that we had 6 trees here and there was a plantable spot in the middle. This plantable spot is in an open area. It's probably going to be a little bit grassy. It is over 2 meters away, or 1.6 meters, whatever the minimum spacing is, but it's over the minimum spacing away from all the other trees. You could go ahead and put a tree in here because now you've got 7 trees within your plot. Where things get screwy is in this example, we have 7 trees in our plot already. So you would think that's enough trees, right? But it's not. You actually do not have adequate stalking within this plot. And the reason for that is you have all of these plantable spots here that do not have trees in them. So I would come in here and I would add a tree here, a tree here, a tree here, a tree here. So even though there are now 11 trees total within this plot, that doesn't matter. You can have 100 trees in a plot and still need to add trees depending on how close they're growing to each other. The key is the plantable spots, not the total number of trees. That should be the takeaway. I'll say that again. The key is the number of plantable spots in the plot, not the actual number of trees in the plot. We're going to discuss clusters now. So over here we have 4 trees that are called naturals. Naturals are the trees that are already growing there. They're also called natties as a slang term. When you plant a tree, you want to respect the natural trees, which is why I had to make sure that all of those natural trees were far enough away from my planted tree over here. However, when you have lots and lots of trees, it's impossible to find a spot to plant. Like this tree here would be too close to this one, for instance. But with the cluster, you don't respect every single natural tree, you only respect one of them. Which one? Well, that's up to you to decide. In general, you want to select the biggest, healthiest one. So a tree that's the tallest in the group and the strongest looking and growing the most aggressively is the one that you tend to want to pick. If it's got a broken top, if it's got a bunch of brown needles, try and avoid picking that one. You also want to cherry pick one that allows you to get more trees in so you get more money, you know what I mean. When I've selected my natural, I may throw a piece of flag on there so I remember that, hey, this is the natural I've selected within this cluster. I can now ignore all these trees. So as long as there is a minimum spacing of 2 meters or 1.6 meters or whatever it is for the contract between this selected natural within the cluster and this tree, I don't care about this. As far as I'm concerned, none of the rest of these are here and they can be ignored. I can put a tree here and over here because this is the only tree I'm respecting. Over here, the same thing applies. If there are only 2 trees, that's still considered a cluster. I'm going to choose a tree to respect, and then I can put in other trees. This rule does not apply with your own trees. You cannot plant a cluster of your own trees and only choose one to respect. It's only naturals that get this rule. If you have 2 naturals here like this, then when the checker's coming through, they're going to try their best to figure out which ones you are respecting. Don't assume that that flag is going to tell them which one it is. The flag is likely to fly off. That's okay. Doesn't matter. As long as at the time when you're planting it, it works, they'll figure it out. hopefully that clarifies fill plants a little bit. To reiterate, it's the number of plantable spots within the plot that matters. It's not the actual number of trees that are growing there. The number of trees that are growing there only matters if they're filling plantable spots or not. You can have 50 or 100 trees in half the plot and have the other half be barren, and you'd still have to add trees to it.